Hello and welcome to Gabie's Knit Goodies. I am here to talk about all of my whips. I have a few of them and a sweater I probably haven't shown you guys in a while that I am wearing. And then some yarn that I have dyed, I guess shop update that I'll talk about at the end if you are interested. Yeah, so you can find me at Gabie's Knit Goodies on Instagram and on Etsy where I sell my hand-dyed yarn. Is also my Ravelry username, but not the best at updating my works on there, my projects on there, but I do try to do that some. And then my yarn also, I post lots of yarn, little reels on at GKG Yarn on Instagram. Yes, I think that's all the places you can find me. And without further ado, let's get into the knitting. I'm wearing the Gold Wing sweater by Jennifer Steinglass, and it has a beautiful yoke, and it starts with one color. It has a very simple neckline, and then the yoke colorwork kind of transitions you into the new color, and I find that really, the way she did that, very cool. And then the sleeves also have some color work on them as well. The yarn is, I can't remember the color, but it's the Fiber Company is the brand, and it is a, it has various fibers in it. It's pretty soft, and it's a fairly thick yarn. Yeah, so it keeps me nice and warm, and it's very cozy. It has pilled a good bit. I don't know how well you can see that, especially like, you know, here on the sleeves, it's pilled a good bit. You can see it under here. I need to attempt a good depilling. I have a comb depiller, which on most of my knits actually works pretty well. I would kind of like to buy a gleaner though, because I feel like that might be better for all of my knits, because I think it has different little attachments depending on like the type of yarn or how delicate it is. So I would like to do that, but that's okay. In lieu of that, I can use my little comb, and I need to actually sit down and do that sometime soon, because I always feel like they do not look nearly as nice when they're all pilly. But it's a beautiful sweater, and this green is quite bold for me, but I absolutely love it. Sometimes I surprise myself with what I end up wearing in terms of color, because I tend to gravitate towards neutrals, but sometimes like this one and my Sunset Highway sweater that I knit are quite bold, and I wear them all the time. So, I don't know. Anyways, let's get into the knitting. I am not sure that I have actually made any more progress on this particular sweater, but I did block it. I was a little worried about the width of this Viveca cardigan by the West Strand Sisters. Like I said, I was a little bit worried about the width of it, and so I blocked it, and it blocked out beautifully to the width I wanted it to be. I need to go back and compare gauge and sizes to see if I am on gauge or not. It was not, I didn't have to like stretch this out by any means to block it to the dimensions it needed to be. So yeah, so I think I'm pretty good on gauge. Anyways, this is the back, which is beautiful, and it's got those two cables on each side that go out towards the shoulders, and you can see that little side seam that's not a seam, faux seam, and then the front, and it is a V-neck sweater. So now all I have to do is pick up the stitches from both sides and knit my sleeves. And my daughter is very antsy to have this. Oh, and this is Caramel Macchiato, colorway, DK weight, and it's one of my hand-dyed yarns. Superwash merino nylon, and it's in my Etsy shop. So that's this one, which I'm excited to pick up for sleeves for that, because I feel like it's gonna go by pretty fast because it's for my 10-year-old girl, so it's not, the sleeves are shorter than mine, so, and thinner, so I think it'll be great. Next work in progress, I have made some progress on, and it's not blocking, it's actual knitting progress, is the Rota Jumper by Irene Lin. Let's see. You see that? Yay! It is beautiful. I have finished the body of it, and I have picked up for one of my sleeves, and I am working on that. And it's turning out so great. And I was actually watching one of those YouTube videos that talk about like spring 2024 fashion trends and stuff like that, spring and summer. And one of the things that the fashion trends mentioned was like open or loose knits and open crochet garments. And this one I feel like will totally fit the bill. So I'm on the cutting edge of fashion, didn't even know it, with my hand knits. At least with this one particular hand knit. But I'm very excited about this. I did knit the cropped version like it stated. Yeah. So I like the look of her sample, which is cropped. And I think this will work cropped, especially because it is a summer garment. I will be wearing a tank top under it anyways because it's, you know, very see-through. So I think the cropped will work. If it doesn't work, I don't know. I guess I will unpick the hem, maybe. We'll see. I think the cropped will work. I think it'll be really cute. Hopefully. I am pretty short-waisted too, so that helps. The cropped ones don't look quite as cropped on me because my torso is short. So anyways, this is in olive green. Gabie's Knit Goodies on Etsy. Hey, this is the one I want to finish more than anything because it's for me. I like selfish knitting the best. I do love it when like my girls like the stuff I knit them and they wear it, and it makes me so happy when I see them wearing it and loving it. But in terms of actually knitting it and finishing stuff, I think the selfish knits are really what would draw my attention. When I'm excited about them anyways. That's terrible, isn't it? Oh well. I am still knitting them things. Speaking of non-selfish knits, I have cast on something new. Instead of picking up my sweater number 20, which I really do want to do, both of my daughters had requested sweaters. And so I cast that one on for one of my girls, and then the other one, of course, is like, well, where's my sweater? So I finally cast on and have knit a good bit on the Traveler hoodie by Andrea Mowry. Andrea Renee Knits. So you can see it's just kind of got a garter style, almost an exaggerated garter style pattern on it. And I don't know if you can see, but the yarn is a boucle yarn. And I think I showed the yarn in my last video, but I hadn't knit anything up with it yet. My daughter helped me like design the yarn colorway. She wanted a variegated, not a solid or a tonal. and she told me like what colors she kind of wanted in it. So that's what I did. It's mainly blue with a little like purpley pink and some light blue in there and a little bit of brown speckles as well. So this is, like I said, it's the boucle yarn, and it's like a DK weight yarn. So I was considering not knitting up the Traveler Hoodie by Andrea Mowry because her pattern is, it calls for a sport weight, not a DK weight. And so I figured my gauge would be off, and then this is, even though it's a DK weight, I almost feel like you could go larger needle sizes with this because of the loopy nature of the yarn. It like really fluffs out. So I did a swatch, and I was not on gauge by any means. It was definitely larger gauge than what she has in the pattern, but my daughter really liked the overall look of the Traveler Hoodie, so I decided to make it work. So I compared my gauge to the pattern gauge and realized I was off. So then I compared, then I looked at the sizes and the dimensions of the size, and I used my gauge to figure out how many stitches I would need to cast on. And it was a considerable amount less. Like, I think hers is, up around 200 and something for the smallest size, and I cast on like 100 and just under 150 to meet that same, I think it's 38 inches circumference. So I have had to modify the pattern, and I don't think that's going to cause too many issues. I've started the split, so she splits, I think it's actually it's kind of at the armhole, but then she extends on both sides. It's an interesting construction. I have not read through the pattern, so I don't really know exactly where she's going with this, but it looks like a drop shoulder design. Yeah. So anyways, I think it will work out. I just have to kind of stop and assess things along the way. And if she says knit for a certain amount of rows, I'm going to have to figure out what that means in inches. And I can take her gauge from her pattern and figure out if she says 10 rows, does that mean, 4 inches or 2 inches or how many inches based on her gauge she has in the pattern. So I think I'm just going to have to go with inches rather than like numbers of rows or even numbers of stitches. But I think it'll work out just fine. And it's cute. It makes such a squishy fabric in this boucle yarn. It's so squishy. Now if you were doing a cable pattern, I would not use boucle yarn because you would lose a lot of stitch definition. I mean, you can see it's garter stitch and you can see the ribbing, but especially up close, like it definitely loses definition because it's, this loopy yarn. So not for something like cable knits, but it works great for this project, I think, because it's got such a simple stripy pattern that it doesn't really matter if you see it all that clearly. Another tip if you were using boucle yarn is don't have a sharp needle. Your knitting needles, it's ideal if they're a little bit more dull, a little more blunt. These are Knit Picks needles, like they're interchangeable set. I don't know how well you can see this, but they're not super sharp. This is the size 5. I am using the recommended needle size for this project. Yeah, so these aren't that sharp, but like I have higher sharp needles that I love, which I'm using for this project. That's another tip. If you're doing lace work or like these have 1x1 cables and I don't use a cable needle, using a sharp knitting needle works well for that. But you can see, let's see here, I can do this without dropping all my stuff. You can see the difference between the sharp knitting needle, hopefully, and the dull ones. Hopefully. Yeah, so this one's nice and sharp, works well for those little cables and lace work, and that one's dull, and it works better for the boucle yarn. So that's just a little tip. If you are using a loopy yarn like this boucle, a dull needle works better. And I was watching those twins who knit, and she did this cool like cardigan jacket out of, it was a test knit out of a worsted weight, I believe, or an Aran weight boucle yarn. And she said she had some trouble with her needle snagging like a loop of the yarn as opposed to like the whole strand, so she really had to pay attention. And yeah, I wonder if her needles were sharp, or possibly the bulkier boucle yarn might have bigger loops, and so it might be easier to kind of snag those loops as opposed to the base of the yarn. Yeah, anyways. Okay, I think that is, I feel like I'm missing a project, but I haven't worked any more on my socks, and I'm trying to think of what else I have. I think that might be it for now, other than my yarn that I'll talk about. The other thing I've been up to, of course, is my knit and crochet class that I teach, and I told you guys a little bit about that last time, but I did take a picture that I think y'all will find interesting, and I'll put it up here. It's their Valentine's little project that we did, Introduction to Color Work, and I was able to take 3 of their projects and hold them up to the class and kind of demonstrate to them how gauge can change your finished project, and how important gauge can be, because you know, one person, they're all the same stitch count, all the same needle sizes, and all of that base background yarn is exactly the same yarn, and so the difference with it is just the individual and how they knit, and to show them the difference that how tight they knit made in the finished project. I think they found that pretty interesting, and I thought you guys would kind of like to see that too. So a picture of that, and then I'll get into my yarn, my little shop update. If you don't want to hear about all my yarn, my shop update, then I will see you guys next time. Alright, so I have restocked because it sells out regularly, which I find crazy to say that my yarn sells out, but it is my Van Gogh Starry Starry Night colorway. I have a bunch of it here actually. And I have, let's see, I think 12 in the shop at the moment. And it is a very kind of literal interpretation or inspiration of Van Gogh's Starry Night painting, in which, oh, here we go. We've got the yellow and blue sky, the starry night, and then this is like the little town in the bottom with the deep blues. It even has a little bit of green in here and a little bit of purpley speckles in it, but it's all in that deep blue color, so none of that like stands out, just kind of as a deep dark blue. Hopefully it's showing up well on the camera. But those are in stock. I have 12 of them. And I dyed up, oh dear. Okay, I also dyed up some boysenberry, which I have not had in stock for quite some time. And I have no idea. It doesn't, on my camera lens, it doesn't look like it's showing up all that well. But hopefully it is. So this is a bold boysenberry color. And it actually, if you were looking for something to complement the Van Gogh, it actually goes pretty well with that Van Gogh Starry Night. And this is the same colorway, the same dye that I actually put some speckles in here, so it really does kind of goes together, but definitely is a contrast at the same time. It's a good complement. I think I have 12 of those in the shop at the moment as well. And then just yesterday, I dyed up my matcha green tea latte, and this was the one I was missing from my Coast to Coast wrap kits, and so now Coast to Coast wrap kits are renewed in the shop. That's in DK weight. I talked about my Bees Blue Boucle, and this is, I think I have 5 of these in the shop because I only dyed 10 of them, and I'm using the other ones for her sweater. And then I restocked Caramel Macchiato, which is the same colorway that I'm making my daughter's cardigan out of, the Viveca one. And then I had someone request a yarn, another blue, like tonal yarn to go with the Van Gogh Starry Night. So this is what I came up with. It is called Deep Sea Blue, and it is a tonal blue with some nice, really deep, dark blue sections and then some lighter ones. And you can easily grab. Aha. So it really goes with the blue that's kind of in the sky of the Van Gogh colorway. And so they kind of go together if you want to keep more of the blue, the deep blue sky color going. You can accompany with those. Or you can just use it on its own, of course, but it's a beautiful deep kind of an ocean blue with highs and lows in it. Yeah. Nice tonal. So anyways, that's all I currently have. I think that's kind of restocked in the shop. And I guess I will see you guys later. I plan on doing some more dyeing this week and some more knitting for sure. So hopefully I will have more to show you next week. Bye.